Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle. I will be joined by my co-host, Hall, here very soon, and a guest as well to talk about this disappointing loss. But that being said, the Burgundy Zone is a part of the Frederick Podcast Network. You can find out more by going to www.listenfrederick.com. Washington loses in stunning, absolutely astronomical, just insane circumstances to the Dallas Cowboys. 34-26. Truth be told, what I'll first say is this shouldn't have been a game. This shouldn't have been the way that it was. But Washington, ultimately, the way that they played today, I don't think that they played in a way that's deserving of winning. Put the ball in the harm's way too many times. The turnovers were crucial. Absolutely, of course. But ultimately, what it comes down to, the title of this episode is What Was That? And so that we're going to try to decipher and try to break down what exactly transpired at Northwest Stadium today, because I don't think anybody that was in attendance even knows, because that was insane what we witnessed. The offense being stagnant for the first half again, which has reared its ugly head for the past couple weeks, where it totally seems like of old, where the defense is holding on for dear life. They're going above and beyond. They are absolutely able to stop things, get you the ball back, but the offense is just not operating in a way that is conducive to winning. When you get a turnover in the opposing team's territory and you're still not able to put on points, and even if you punt it, you have to be able to execute and get touchdowns there. And obviously the offense is in a lull right now. They are definitely in the mud. They're trying to get out of it, but that goes into the second half of this game, where that Turpin kick return was just absolutely awful. That was the last thing you possibly needed in that situation. And he bobbles it at first. And I know Greg Olsen had made a point that when a kickoff team kind of senses that muff, they kind of chill out a little bit. And I definitely know what he says, from somebody that played on special teams. I kind of know what he's talking about. But it was inexcusable the way that he was just able to go upfield and nobody touched him. And then that goes into the also aspect of, even though the crazy thing is, early on in this game, the special teams is what was keeping us in the game. The special teams is what was making the real big plays for us. And at the end of the game, special teams is what loses it. And it's mind-boggling. It truly is in the way that today was. And I'll be confident in saying that this is probably the worst loss of the season so far. The Cowboys are missing a lot of people. 2 guards up front, missing their 1 corner. Obviously, they got some guys back, and Micah had 2 sacks today. They got back Deron Bland, who made a couple tackles and helped with the strip on the sideline over there on Eckler. But, dude, you have to establish your will. And Brian Robinson, that injury to Brian Robinson, when that first happened, your immediate thought is, that's a broken ankle. That dude landed on his ankle. That should be broken. And then he comes back. Then the halftime comes up, and then Brian Robinson doesn't return. Andrew Wiley leaves with a concussion. He doesn't return. Tyler Badass leaves with a possible concussion, but he comes back. This was truly a gritty, tough performance. I hope this isn't a view into the future of what's possibly going to happen against these Dallas teams, because if they're at full strength, I mean, why can we not play better than them? And we had the opportunities today. Terry McLaurin and Jaden Daniels, that last touchdown pass was one of the most beautiful freaking things I've ever seen in my life, which is so funny because a lot of people have been complaining about Terry this season, saying that Terry, we need a wide receiver that could capitalize and actually score those touchdowns and not get hawked and tracked down and tackled. He didn't get tackled on that one. And then it comes up to a missed extra point because of a bad snap. I don't even know if it's about the bad snap because Austin Seibert, he missed a 51 1-yarder earlier in the game. He missed the extra point earlier. And so it's 2 missed extra points today. Obviously, he's not right, just being honest with you. Like, I don't even know if it's the hip necessarily, but just the mental aspect of it is he's not dialed in 100%. Whatever he's doing, it's just something is off, right? And we could be confident in saying that. And so the crazy thing about this game is you want to pile on the offense and you want to say your inability to score points in the first half is the reason why you lost this game. But then in the second half, they pull off the Chicago-like heroics of scoring points when they had no business of scoring points. 33 seconds left in the game. One pass to Terry McLaurin, and they're tying it up. And then the extra point misses. I mean, you want to pile on the offense, but in the same breath, they actually tried to make that a game and win it. And the same element that was helping you establish a lead and to make it a game early on in the special teams is ultimately what loses it for you. And having the Turpin kick return touchdown, the extra points, the onside kick for a touchdown, which is just dreadful, god awful. It's a kind of an insane game to kind of break down. But before we get joined by our guest here, before I'm joined by my co-host, kind of want to rip off some of these stats. The first downs, the Commanders and Dallas were both tied with 19. On third downs, Dallas was 2 of 11. On third downs, Washington was 4 of 12. Passing yards, Washington had 260 to Dallas's 241. The big difference in this game was the sacks, where Cooper Rush was only sacked 1 time. Jaden Daniels was sacked 4 times. I've said it for a while now. The offense struggles. Everyone's going to blame different things. They're going to say it's Jaden being inaccurate, possibly the injury. I really don't believe that. Others are going to say Cliff Kingsbury has been figured out and things like that. Ultimately, I think it derives from the offensive line. And what I mean by that is you can't run the ball well enough to marry yourself to it. The first touchdown drive that they had, they ran the ball with ease. I mean, it was a big amount that they were able to run the ball, get up the field, and then ultimately get that touchdown. But then when they do run the ball after that, it's no gain. Nothing. Then they have to pass, incomplete. Now they have to pass again on third down. And so it's like, as much as you want to say run the football, they still don't do it concretely like they used to. And I think a lot of it derives from that offensive line being nicked up, guys not being 100%. They're still out there battling, though. And that ultimately leads into those long third downs, which goes into Dallas's advantage, where Dallas getting Micah Parsons back healthy, and he damn sure looked like it today. Wasn't like he was playing on one leg. He was absolutely a game record today on that offensive line, where Jaden Daniels at one series had to escape and on back-to-back plays run out of bounds. You know what I mean? This is a sort of thing where the offensive line is, and it's just, look, there's a part in it with play calling, without a doubt, in my opinion. There is some crazy things being called. For example, the one Noah Brown third down that Jaden Daniels throws it deep to him. The corner is playing over top of Noah, and he's playing 10 yards off the line of scrimmage. Why is that a go route on third down? If anything, that should be a comeback route. The cornerback is lining up pre-snap over 10 yards deep, playing over Noah Brown. Call that comeback. You have at least 5 yards of separation on that play, and then get that ball in the air before Noah turns his back, and you're going to be clean. That's a pickup right then and there. Jaden missing opportunities, missing Zach Ertz on that one Noah Brown throw where it hits Noah Brown in the face mask. Wide receivers not coming up with catching the football, and then losing the ball. Like, as much as you want to blame Jaden Daniels for the interception, I mean, that's just the chaos brought to you by the pass rush. And so it's just a snowball effect of bad play calling, offensive line being nicked up, and allowing pressure on Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels feeling that pressure, getting antsy, not being 100% in accuracy at all times. Comes down to the wide receivers catching the football. It also comes down to the receivers holding on to the ball. John Bates coughing up that one fumble. That was costly. And it just seemed like it doesn't matter what we did in this game. It was just we were going to lose. I can't explain it. I can't put my finger on it. But everything that it tells you is that we were not destined to win this game. As much as like that feeling was there with Chicago, it didn't matter what we did. It didn't matter. Something was going to go wrong in one way or another fashion. And this was it's hard to be able to point blame on people, but the fact being is it was a total team loss. And that's not just like speak, it's not just something you say as a football team fan when you lose these games, because a lot of people just like to say that, right? But in this breath, it was every aspect did it. Benjamin St. Juste giving up that huge pass at the end of the first half. I mean, what are you doing, pal? Like, what are you doing? Why are you not over top of that wide receiver? Why are you gripping onto his hip? Stay nothing deep, bro. And I understand that you have a safety over top. You can't depend on it. You can't get back there. It's just one thing after another today. And it sucks because one other thing that really happened today was the penalties, where the Commanders had committed 8 for 78 penalty yards, where Dallas had committed 4 for 20 yards. Definitely seemed like Dallas was playing a perfect game. I'm not sure if I even saw a holding call, and that goes into the sacks not creating pressure, even though they were without Zach Martin, even though they were without Tyler Smith, their left guard as well. Cooper Beebe, who I really liked in the pre-draft process, starting at center for them. They did a good job today. But that being said, it wasn't like the defense was just getting bludgeoned. Do you know what I mean? Like, CeeDee Lamb had 10 receptions for 67 yards. It wasn't like they were getting lit up and down the field in a crazy amount. It's just these very inopportune times they're finding a way to allow the other team to have an advantage. And that's the crazy part about this game, is that you can't just point on one unit to say that you screwed up this opportunity. It's all three. It's crazy the fact that they were able to score that touchdown with Terry McLaurin. I can't state that enough. That was absolute insanity. Insanity for them. They shouldn't have even had a chance to win that game. And that really goes into that extra point and showing you that ball don't lie, so to speak. It is what it is. I know this is hard for everybody. You don't lose to Dallas. That's the one thing you don't do. You don't lose to Dallas. Unfortunately, what we have seen thus far is that in the division, in the NFC East, Washington has not been playing their best football. And which is sad to see. Because if you were going to say anything, Hall, I'll ask that question to you. If you were going to request anything out of this football team, would you request them winning in the NFC East and playing their best football then, or playing their best football versus other opponents? If you had to pick one,
Like right now or going forward or
just
what?
like in the season, like if I asked you this in the preseason.
In the preseason? Mm, I'd probably say against the division opponents just because those are the guys you're going to see 2 times a year going forward for the next 10 plus years. If Jaden Daniels is that guy for the next 10 plus years. And I mean, to get into the playoffs, the first step, everyone says the first goal of the season is you got to win your division. So I'd rather them play their best football against their division opponents and then get better against the other teams because, again, you see the teams in your division twice a year. So those should be the teams that you should know the best, prepare the best for, and whatnot like that. So, yeah, if I guess if you had to ask me that question in the preseason, I guess that would be my answer.
Yeah, dude, I've been trying to explain this loss, and it is insane to be even sitting here given the circumstances. Whereas that missed pat is the ultimate difference, right? But it's not the ultimate difference. Like if there was
You shouldn't
one,
even have been in that game in the first place.
that was my point. Is that they didn't play today deserving to win this football game. And I said it was almost like the ball don't lie
Mm-hmm.
on that play.
Oh, dog, trust me. I was Gavin in the group chat was, oh, y'all was talking all that s about we lost to the Browns, blah 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 blah, karma, karma. And I was like, I ain't say nothing. She's like, all right. He was like, y'all got another, and then he was like, you got another miracle in you, and I was like, I mean, honestly, probably not. And then once Terry caught that Jonas scored, I was like, yo, holy, like ha ha ha. And then once I kind of like settled down, I was like, we're gonna miss this extra point. Like the way these games are going, we're gonna miss this. And sure enough, as soon as I saw that bad snap, it was a wrap. It's like, and then sure enough, obviously we missed it. So, and like you said, it's just one of them games. Ball don't lie. Didn't deserve to win that game. Didn't deserve to even be in that game. Football gods obviously were like, we taketh this game from you because you did not deserve to be in this position in the first place.
I didn't pray before the game. I prayed last night with my son and my family about it, but like I should have prayed today. All right, I will say that the kids are sick. I'm getting over sickness. We didn't go to church today, so blame me. Okay, I'm the reason for all of this. All right, but let's do some chores because as much as you can't point to one unit on the team to say this is why the team lost today, but if you're going to hand out chores, who's number one in your chores list?
Mm, I would say I don't know. I don't know. You go first. I gotta think about it because it's kind of hard because it's like no one played like a crazy bad game. It was just like everyone was shooting themselves in the foot. But it's like guys made plays towards the end, and defense played their ass off. Special teams made plays, but then they blew it.
Yep.
Defense made plays, but then they blew it.
It's
Off-
crazy.
Offense was horrible, but then they made plays, and then they were horrible again. So I'm
Right.
like, I mean, I guess I would say mm, maybe Allegretti. Like I don't know. Like I wasn't really watching any individual. Like I don't know. Like, like they were getting pressured. I feel like okay. You know what? I'll say Cliff Kingsbury only because I feel like the rap on the offense now is blitz Daniels, overload the line, make the line kind of confuse the line with the pressure, and you kind of got the offense off. You get pressure on Daniels. He gets off his mark, and so I don't know, but I don't know.
Early on in the season, Jaden Daniels was one of the best versus the blitz.
I know. I
And
know.
look, we could go all day about this being a Cliff problem and everything like that. Ultimately, I think it derives from the offensive line just not being in sync and not being 100%. I think it goes into the run game and everything. So, without a doubt, I'll give two. The two biggest chores that I'm giving out right now. The first one is John Bates.
Yeah.
John Bates, I know that was hard on him, but you don't catch the ball very often. You don't get thrown the ball very often. Well, that's one way to keep it that way, is by fumbling it. And I don't care what rhyme or reason, when you catch that football, your number one job, in this right, Anthony, is to protect it.
Always.
Absolutely catch the ball is life. You catch that ball and you protect it. I know it's hard to do in those milliseconds, but that is a fact in the reality. The second is Noah Brown. Noah Brown, I love what you've done with the Hail Mary, but my goodness, my dude, can you please catch the football out here with your hands instead of the chest or the face mask? That's all I ask. Anthony, thank you so much for joining us, brother. I know we're doing this disappointing and crazy loss this was to Dallas, but we're giving out our chores. If you could give chores to anybody on the team, coaching staff, front office, anything, who would you say?
Man, it's just the entire offense. Really decide what the hell you want to be. You know what I mean? How
Yeah.
great do you want to be? You know, you had a pretty good start to the year. And then frankly, I mean, the head of the offense, I'm talking about Cliff. Like, hey, come on. Like the one guy, the reporter called it. He said, hey, you know, there's this stuff. In the second half of the season, you get a little, get a little bland and things fail. And then he tried to play like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's like, bro, come on now. All right, come on now. Last three games haven't been as good. So you got to find some life, man. Find how you want to be with this offense. Do you really, want to be great? Because, sitting on 7 wins is not how you want to finish this thing, especially with how you've started. So there's a couple more W's back there that they got to get. They're leaving a lot on the bone these past couple weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the other chore would go to long snapper because the one thing about long snapping and anybody on special teams is if you're not being talked about, that's a good thing, right? So it's one of those situations where it's like, dude, come on, man, just get that. And look, Tress Way did a good job of putting it out there, but it's like that one thing where you want that cohesion and that rhythm on that one simple play, but ultimately it's what brings us all down. Anthony,
Man,
sorry.
go ahead. Go.
No,
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 you
no.
good. I was so upset. Right. I'm like, damn. And then I look up and Terry running down the field. I'm like, oh,
I was screaming, Anthony. I was
I was no,
screaming.
I was screaming so crazy. I could hear my neighbors through the walls, like, you hear homie next door, like,
yeah. I was thinking I'm gonna get on this commander's reaction video this time. And then my son, he said, all right, cool. So if nobody scores, they go to overtime. I was like, well, hold on, first things first. And damn it, that sucker went left. I about fainted, man. Emotional roller coaster. Emotional roller
Yeah.
coaster.
And it's funny because the Chicago game was an emotional roller coaster in a good way, but this one was the complete opposite, where it was an emotional roller coaster ending in heartbreak, man.
Man, you know what? The football guys do you like that sometimes. You know, they give it, then they take it away. And they give it, then they take it away. But if you, just like I said earlier, if you want to be good, like you gotta figure out ways to win those games. And frankly, you just gotta execute. It doesn't even come down to like, well, let's let Jaden figure it out in the fourth quarter. Like, no, execute from the first quarter and on. The defense showed up early. It's just something's up with the offense where they're just not getting it. And I was a message I tweeted. I think I don't know if it's the fact that you're trying to protect the offensive line so much with play calling that you just don't try to go for anything. You just assuming that you're going to get a completion on first down, and but people are playing tight, and nobody other than Terry finds a way to get open. So we got to figure something out.
Yeah, you mentioned I forgot what I was gonna say, but what was I gonna say? I was gonna say, all right. So yeah, my common theme of this over the past like 3, 4, 5 games has been they can't seem to capitalize and put their foot on these teams' necks when the teams are basically trying to just give them the game. Like the Bears game, they let them hang around, then obviously they take the lead. The Hail Mary comes. Steelers game, kind of beat ourselves, let them hang around, 10-point lead in the second half, lose that one. Dallas game right here. I mean, you can say the Eagles game. They had their chances here and there, but it is what it is. But and then you got this game here where you just letting Dallas hang around after you blocked a field goal, blocked a punt,
Right.
fumbles, turnovers, or giving basically literally trying to give you the game. So is that with all the veterans they have, like the veteran coaches like Anthony Lynn, Cliff Kingsbury, Dan Quinn on this staff, the veteran players that they brought in like Zach Ertz, Eckler, guys that they wanted to set the culture, Bobby Wagner, is that on them as far as like they don't really know how to, I guess I want to say win these type of games? Is that on the players, is that on the coaches, or is that a combination of both?
Man, you know what? You have to go through it. You have to go through the storms to really get the lessons, right? You don't get your PhD, you don't get your master's just by being around other people that have their MBA. You get what I'm saying? These past 3 games, now this is where those young players look to a Zach Ertz, a Bobby Wagner, and say, "Yo, how like what do we do?" And this is where those guys lean in and say, "Hey, fellas, let's really we gotta lock in. Like we gotta figure this thing out. You got Tennessee coming up, and they almost beat her. We're about to beat her, close to beating Houston.
They
So
did beat him.
they did beat them. Okay, so you got a team that's coming in here with a little fire under their ass. Um, I ain't gonna say these losses are on the veterans, but I need the veterans to show up. And I also know that that these kids, these young fellows, have to go through these losses to actually really learn how to win some games. They won some games early, but now they got to figure out how to win late in the season. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely right. And to your guys' point about the football gods or whatever, I will. I said before you guys got on here, it seemed like it didn't matter what the heck we did in this game, we just weren't going to win it. Like anytime something good came
Yeah.
about, it just something else reared its ugly head. Like seeing Dan Quinn and Bobby Wagner on the sideline talking about what they're going to do on defense to give the ball back to the offense with less than 2 minutes, right? And then that kick return happens. And it's like it just it seemed like when we come out and say we're going to get back into this thing, something else would happen and transpire going to that extra point. But Anthony, my next question for you, the regression of the offense, do you think this is much more so on just, you think much more so it's on Cliff and just everything that's transpiring? Because me personally, I think a lot of it has to do with the nicks and the injuries to the offensive line. What are you thinking?
Man, I mean, look, you can't plan for injuries, but I do know this much. You also can't plan for kids jumping into your podcast.
Trust me, it's good, man.
But you got to put it on the offensive coordinator. You know what I mean? It starts at the top. If you're not going to give it to Dan Quinn, then you got to start it on the offensive coordinator with Cliff Kingsbury. Like I always talk about self scouting. You always got to look at that tape and see what's working and what's not working. What are people doing to beat you right now?
Right.
It's not like I know that Coach Boone and Remember the Titans said it's like Novocaine. We're just going to keep running it. But no, you gotta make some changes. And it's been three straight games with some subpar offensive performances. You got to figure something out. So I got to put it on the offensive coordinator.
My man. And Hall, you see what's going on with Anthony right now? That's going to be you in a couple, not too
Boy,
long.
they don't slow down.
No, trust me, I know.
They
I
don't.
would say, is it as simple as this offense is just not the same with Brian Robinson being out, or is it just,
Man,
or is it more factors? Or is it literally just as simple as he just elevates this run game and this offense to a different level?
I think that he makes you respect the run game. You know what I mean? Like there's one thing like, oh, we can run the ball, sure, but it's you can noticeably tell that the defenses don't respect Eckler, and there's no shade to him. He's just a different running style. You know what I mean? So B Rob is moving that pile. He's gonna get you to 2nd and 4. You know what I mean? He's gonna get you to 3rd and 1. And then now the playbook opens up. When it's not him, you're at 2nd and 8. And then you're trying to figure out. Now it just throws off your play calling mechanics and your flow. So it really makes you think. I was thinking about it before this. Like this week, they let go of Rodriguez to bring up Jean Baptiste, and then B Rob goes down. So you're like, damn. Now you're short of running back, and your top dog goes down. So you got 2 left in the middle, and that puts your pinch on your roster. And I think they're going to have to rethink some things now, how they handle it going forward. Wouldn't be surprised if Chris Rodriguez is quickly back in Ashburn and back on this roster immediately. I thought they would have kept him anyways, just to have another physical running back option. Take a couple of carries away from B Rob, but still maybe let Rodriguez pick up some of those areas.
Yeah, and Austin Eckler at the end of that game having a scary injury. There's no update on him either. So it looks like heading into next week, this could be a very tricky situation for the offense.
Given Alfred Morris might be out there.
Dude, I
Alfred
hope so.
Morris. I seen Clinton Portis is still in the area, so he may be able to suit up and get you a couple of plays too. He can pass block his ass off.
Dude, he can.
Chris Thomas lurking around Northwest today too as well, so you never know.
Oh yeah, you see, Hove was at the game. Jay-Z was there.
Yeah,
if I would have been there, I probably would have screamed. I can't lie.
But the
Jay-Z is one of my favorites. So
the biggest question of today is, when did RG3 turn into a Cowboy? He's pulling off that look recently.
I don't know that. Yeah, fly suit. I can dig that Matthew McConaughey burnt orange. I would have not worn the cowboy hat personally. I don't have a problem with the cowboy hat, but on this day,
I'm with you.
Read the room.
Yes,
that's all I'm saying.
My man, Anthony, how much longer do you have for us?
Man, hell, all hell's breaking loose. It's whatever. I got this Eagle rare. So whenever I finish this, we done.
My man.
Ask me the right question, it'll be done right now.
Hall, if you think of another one, let me know. But one question I have for you, Anthony, to wrap this up, only a couple more. Are there any good things to take away from this loss?
Man, look, you got to look at the tape right now. It's too early to say, oh, well, here's what was good. It's too early for that. And I'm not ready personally in the healing process to try to break down what was good, right? There's a 24-hour rule for a reason. 24 hours to sulk and be pissed. We're right on the front edge of that. This thing is still fresh. Talk to me on Tuesday. Talk to me on Tuesday. Because honestly, I can't find something that's going to jump out and be like, oh, well, at least this happened. Like, it doesn't matter because just as you blocked the field goal, he gave up a wonky kick return, and that happens on those when the ball isn't caught cleanly. Those are the ones that go to the house. Let me tell you, because everybody that's in coverage, they like, oh, balls on the ground, and they lose responsibilities. And my man Turpin hit a L2 circle precision spin. I ain't never seen nobody do that in the game. He did that and took the hell off. I was like, bro, this is one of them days. It's just kind of, hey, this is kind of how that game is rocking. But when you let subpar teams hang around, that's how the ball bounce. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? You let subpar teams hang around, that's how the ball bounce. You let bad habits in your life hang around, that's how the ball bounce. You can't complain because I bet you go back and you see that they let some of this same stuff happen over these past few weeks. You got the feeling good. You didn't seen the Lattimore trade, and that start to get you feeling good. Like, oh, this team could be all the way up at the top. We done went from second seed down to damn near out the playoffs in a matter of moments.
Yep.
Yep.
So you need to wake the hell up.
That's why I kept telling people that as much as you want to look forward to playoffs, the more you look forward to playoffs, the less sight you have on what is in front of you. And Dan Quinn said in his post-game presser that Austin Eckler suffered a concussion at the end of that game, which is second this season, which is a huge concern. I hope Austin does get better. But Anthony, you being a former professional wide receiver for the Redskins, how do you, as a team, how do they bounce back? Personally, I would say that it goes into those veterans on the team that you talked about earlier, the MBAs, the guys with the PhDs, kind of pulling the team together and getting the ship back on track.
Man, you got to raise your standard. You know, you got to be humble enough to look in the mirror and say, I'm not doing good enough. You know what I mean? On the back end in that secondary, 25-1, 24-0, you got to look and say, hey, I'm not being good enough. Even if you made a play, you got to look at the tape and say, I'm not good enough right now. Whatever I'm doing isn't good enough. So sure, we could sit here and hope and pray that we get Lattimore back, but we haven't seen him in weeks. You know what I'm saying? A guy who's coming off of an injury may not be that much in shape. It's tough to think he's going to save this whole entire defense. I lost what you asked me in the beginning. I forgot.
How do
But
they bounce back?
how do they bounce back? Look at the tape. Be critical of yourself. Be humble enough, just like I said, be humble enough to accept that criticism and then go out there and do it. Put it on the field again. The same brotherhood that you had, the same thing that got you to 7-2 has gotta bring you to finish this season. You know what I'm saying? It's not JD5 magic, but right now you got to be a team. And if you're gonna win some games, man, the best team has to show up on Sunday.
My man. Anthony, last question I have for you. And I don't want to go down this route, but you know what? Who cares at this point? That Terry McLaurin touchdown, how demoralizing is that for this football team?
The touchdown?
Well, because of the missed extra
Oh,
point.
you did the missed extra point?
Yeah, because like
Ah,
you didn't think you had a chance. The electricity is provided by the Terry McLaurin
yeah.
touchdown. You're in it again, and then gone.
Man, I think it's a reality slap. You know what I mean? It's one of them ones where you dreaming a little bit. You think you'd have made it to the potty. You know what I'm saying, Hall? You think you'd have made it to the bathroom, but the it's kind of cloudy, and
Yeah.
then you
Yeah.
start to going, and next thing you realize your leg is warm. That's what it feels like.
Or it's a refrigerator.
You done pissed the bed. That's what it feels like. Cause you were all thinking, man, he threw a Hail Mary before. We gonna do it again. And you trying like I'm saying, everybody said, man, Jaden. And I've been on that train.
Yep.
He's a special player, but you can't rely on him to do it all.
Mm-mm.
You get what I'm saying? They said the same thing back in 2012. Oh, RG3 will figure it out.
Right.
Everybody else got to be there. You know, like whatever happened on them 3 drives, or it was 3 and out, three. He ran to the right 3 times. I don't know what happened there, but that was frustrating. Like you got to give this guy some help. And is it a receiver too? That's something that's gonna happen next year in the draft. Don't worry, or else I'm gonna get out there and run some routes.
I know you still can.
Shit, I got a couple, but not a whole bunch. But nonetheless, man, it could be demoralizing. But I always look in the season. Every team has moments where you can tell things have turned. This is a 3-game swing where it's been like, all right, who are you gonna be? You know what I mean? Hall, the bully has showed up and taken your lunch 3 days in a row, 3 weeks in a row. What are you gonna do now? You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I'm on the side of saying stand up, punch him in the mouth. If you go to the principal's office, that's fine. I'll come in there and bail you out. But do not lay down for the rest of this season. If this team finishes like 7-9, 9-8, if they falter to some sort of thing like that, I'm gonna be so upset. And I don't expect that from them. I need them to step up and show up. That's where I'm at right now.
Would love to see them coming out against the Titans and pulling out the replacements bit where they just start whooping ass on everybody. Oh no, was it the longest yard? Where they just start
I think longest yard.
where the whole team just starts beating the crap out of the guards on the opposing
Yeah.
team. And all the
But
flags
see,
still up.
you got to put in like Sam Hartthrob back there. Matter of fact, Sam Hartman gets love way down here in Texas. I got people asking me for Sam Hartman's number.
Yeah.
Hey, do you know that quarterback on the Commanders? I'm like, Jaden Daniels. Like, no, the guy with the beard. I'm like, the heartthrob.
So I told
Oh,
you, my mom texted me randomly and said, "Who is this?" And like as soon as I saw that text, the picture didn't pop up yet, and I was like, "It's gonna be a picture of Sam Hartman," and it pulled up
that is.
pictures Sam Hartman. I was like, "Oh, that's
How
Sam."
does it make you feel,
Not good. It's like, why do I have to answer this?
Mom? You're like, Mom. No, I get it, but no.
Way past your bedtime, okay? Anthony, I can't thank you enough for joining us, brother. Before you get out of here, I'd like to plug your social media handle and your show, just in case anyone's
Man,
following hasn't followed you yet.
if you ain't following me, man, I'm not going to even blame you. But come on over, Rated Armstrong, at Believe Commanders for the show. After this, I'm going to go on ahead and keep this party rolling because I got a little bit left. We're going to do the reaction pod right now on Believe in Commanders. So at Believe Commanders, check us out.
My man. Anthony, have
Yes,
a good night,
sir.
brother. Enjoy.
Appreciate it.
24-hour rule. 24-hour rule. Hopefully it goes by fast.
In full effect.
Yes.
In full effect. I'll talk to y'all.
All right, brother.
My man.
All right, everybody. We just spoke with a man, Mr. Anthony Armstrong. Always appreciate Anthony and his time and his intellect into the
Yeah,
conversation.
that's my guy right there.
As much as I'm supposed to be angry and upset, it's hard to do that when talking to Anthony
I know.
because he makes you laugh. And
Yeah.
that was my thing. I'm smiling a lot, but my wife texted me before we started recording. She's like, "Are you mad?" Which makes me mad. Like,
Dog, you know what's hilarious? Literally,
hate
Courtney
that
did the
question.
same thing. She was like, "I'm sorry." I was like, "What?" She's like, "I'm sorry your team lost." I'm like, "It's fine."
That makes it worse.
All right. I'm like, she's like, "Are you mad?" "Don't be mad." I'm like, "I'm not." "Yeah, you are. I can tell." I'm like, "All right, man. Whatever you say."
Oh, I'm livid. I'm livid. Like just burning right now, and not in the Reed kind of way after a fling in the bathroom. You know what I mean? Like this was one of those where, like, I picked him to absolutely go off, right? And
No, of course, a lot of people do.
now Reed and I chatted on Wednesday because, like, the rest coming back, and you thought that them talking about being able to practice again together, like in a normal kind of sense, and thought that you'd probably see much more of a constructed sort of aspect to this. But I will say, like, honestly, when the game first started out, I didn't feel that energy. The same energy that, like, you could say with Frankie Louvo against the Eagles, right? So, like, on that sort of level, you didn't get that energy from the team. It just, like, as much as the defense was doing a good job, the special teams did their thing. It wasn't like that energy was there, right? And that's the unfortunate part about this is, like, that chance, that opportunity was there, and it was quickly gone. And which has been the MO for the past couple weeks, Hall, where it seems like a lot like the older years, where the defense is holding on for dear life, and you're hoping the offense can pull something together to be able to win this thing out. Whereas early in the season, it was, holy crap, offense is on fire. Can the defense do enough? And we had a couple games where they were both on the same page, along with the special teams. But it's like they just need to find that again. Get on the same rhythm. Get on the same wavelength. Because right now, in this game in particular, it's kind of like a microcosm where it's like everyone is not on the same page at some part of the game. And that ultimately is the collapse of it all.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't played complimentary football for the past couple of weeks, whereas the first couple of weeks of the season, it was complimentary football. The offense was rolling, getting the lead for the defense. Defense was able to pin their ears back and play a little bit more loose, make some plays. And then once the defense kind of found their footing, next thing you know, they're holding teams on third downs. They're getting sacks. They're getting turnovers. So you're thinking, okay, maybe they turned a corner, and all that is kind of crumbled the past couple of weeks. Whereas the defense has actually played pretty well. Like you said, they've been holding on for dear life against Pittsburgh. They had a 10-point lead, and the offense kind of blew that one. Defense was holding on and eventually gave it away against what's it called? Chicago, or not Chicago, but against Philly. The defense was for 3 quarters, pretty much 3 1/3, 3.5 quarters. They were good, holding Philly's offense down, and the offense couldn't get anything going. And here we are again today, where the defense is playing pretty good, special teams is playing pretty good. Here and there, they've had a couple mistakes, obviously, but defense is doing their thing, and offense can't get anything going. And like Anthony said, you let subpar teams hang around. It's the way the ball bounces. So
Look, I hate the idea that everyone is now subscribing to. We need a wide receiver too. This is what is really stop that. Full stop right now. That was not a conversation early on in this season when we were lighting everyone on frickin' fire. Okay, obviously they are lacking in some areas, but ultimately it should not come down to that. It should be running the ball effectively, concretely, and solidly in order for the play action to develop, in order to hit downfield. And they have been, the best way to describe it is, they have been discombobulated. They have been all over the field. Nothing has been sustainable. And they have really been trying to get back into that rhythm. And I think Dan Quinn is 100% right. I've said this for a while. They need typically a big play to get going. And you're really gambling at that point if that's what your MO is on offense. Because a lot of teams are going to stop the big play from happening. They're going to play that deep kind of zone stuff. And if you don't have a wide breaking run, if you don't have a deep shot to go, it's going to hard for you for the entire game to find your footing again. Do you know what I mean? And that's where I see this. But before I piss anybody else off, I wanted to read this from our Discord because this is absolutely hysterical. At 4:17, Chris Comerton says, "We don't suck anymore." And then Tim Towner says, "Okay, Kyle, I am now a huge McLaurin fan." And then right after that, at 4:18, Chris Comerton says, "We still suck." And then Tim Towner says, "Ha, I'm totally insane right now. We are who we thought that we were." And that is basically the end of that game. That is that's how it transpired. That's how, I think how we all felt. It's just insane. Now the question we have in the Discord, this one from Tim Towner: name one player on offense and one player on defense whose game has improved most as the season has progressed, or the opposite, as in what WTF are you doing?
progressed. I would say honestly, I'd probably say Terry. I just feel like from the beginning of the season, everyone was kind of questioning it because he had a rough start to the beginning of the season, like a couple catches, and then obviously since the Cincinnati game, he's kind of came on since like a gangbuster. Um, I know the last couple games, honestly, the catch today and with the run for like 80 yards, whatever it was, is what kind of got him his yards and got him over that yardage today. But past couple weeks, he hasn't gotten involved. But I would say that for all the people, including, I'm not going to say not me, but for all the people out there that were saying that, oh, we need a
Number one wide receiver.
yeah, like a number one wide receiver. Da 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 da. Yeah, obviously Terry has proved that he is a number one wide receiver. Now we just need to get him a number two wide receiver to take some of the pressure off of him, kind of like a la the Dotson year, his rookie year, where it was like, okay, we can't just double up on Terry. We got another guy that can burn us deep over the middle and whatnot like that. So hopefully, like Anthony said, in the draft or free agency coming up this year, they're going to add another guy opposite Terry that can consistently win one-on-ones, not kind of sporadically like Noah Brown or Oz or whoever it may be here and there. We need a guy consistently that can take the coverage away from Terry and, again, hopefully open up this offense even more.
I'm with you. I get it. You always want to get better. My point being is that is an excuse right now for why the offense is inept. Because we've seen time and time again that they've been able to succeed with this offense that they do have. I mean, they were setting record historic numbers with what they were doing. We all can remember back to when they didn't punt for 3 games, right?
Yeah, but the only thing I would say now is teams have adjusted to where it's like, okay, we're going to take away Terry, and now we're going to make you beat us one-on-one, as opposed to before they were kind of just sitting back and being like kind of that zone coverage and whatever it may be. And if Cliff's gonna keep calling the short passing game, which what he's been calling for the past couple of weeks, that short game, the quick game. Teams are just getting up, pressing the receivers now, and they're saying beat us one-on-one. They're not beating them one-on-one. So that's why I'm saying we need a guy consistently that can kind of get that one-on-one coverage.
My point being is if you run the ball concretely and solidly,
Oh yeah, of
they don't
course.
have the ability to do that because their number one concern is stopping the run. And that's what's gotten away from us. And that's why I say it's a snowball effect from the offensive line. We haven't been running the ball like that. And you could blame it one thing or another, but it's also the wide receivers just simply not catching the football. Whereas if they get their hands up there, it's not like they are. Like you're not going to feel confident with Noah Brown as wide receiver too. But if you catch that football, that extends the drives, which goes into time of possession where Dallas had beat us 35 minutes and 12 seconds to 24 minutes and 34 seconds, which obviously bleeds into running the football, which goes into executing on third downs. And that's where they've taken a step back, in my opinion. It's running the ball. And I think the injuries up front have really made things difficult for this offensive line. And they've had a tough task past couple weeks. Michael Parsons came back. Obviously, they are no slouch up front. But that's no excuse for our defense of what we've been giving up essentially the past couple weeks. But I think that you want to get better. You want to have another guy out there, of course. But all my point is I do find that a convenient excuse for what we're in currently because we've seen it happen. They were catching the ball before. I don't know what's going on. Catch the football, protect the football, and let's go win some games. But that hasn't been the MO. Now, to answer Tim's question, because I got off on a rant, because, of course, you and I have to start arguing in regards to wide receivers. One player that has progressed on offense and I'll say regressed, I would say, is Sam Cosmi. He did incredibly well, but obviously he might be dealing with something. But you saw Micah today work him pretty good. I mean, this isn't the same Sam Cosmi that was working Dexter Lawrence, right? I mean, and we've seen it the past couple weeks where Sam might be dealing with something and regress kind of towards the end of this season. But obviously, I don't think that is who Sam Cosmi is. We haven't seen the best of him yet, and I still think the future is bright for him, without a doubt. I think Diami Brown is somebody that has progressed and has continued to get better. As much as he did drop that one touchdown pass last 2 weeks ago that we ended up scoring on, he still comes up like that huge leaping catch that he caught over the middle today was beautiful. Had a long end around run for 14 yards today. I think that somebody has progressed. On defense, that has regressed. I mean, everyone's going to point to Benji. And I said this on Twitter, dude. It's the same route every time. I mean, every single time. And I even saw Shannon Sharp tweet. He was like, how dumb are the Commanders? Why would you allow anybody behind you right before the half? And look, I'm right. Do you remember the Noah Brown incompletion on third down where it was that deep ball down the field, right? What did you see on that play? The corner was lined up 10 yards off the ball, was playing over top of Noah Brown the entire time, never lost it, never lost being over top, right? Why the hell, right before half, is Benji on the hip of that wide receiver? Stay over top. What are you
I
doing?
mean, it's the same thing with the Pittsburgh Steelers
I
game
know.
with Mike
I
Williams,
know.
where it's like you're
Every
10
time.
yards off, you know nothing behind you, and you're playing, and you're giving him the outside fade route. You're playing inside, you're shading him inside. It's like, what are you doing? Like, get your situational game in your mind in the game. Like, I don't know, bro. Like,
Why is it so easy for a guy covering Noah Brown to stay over top? And it is so freaking difficult for our guy just to stay over top. Just stay over top. Give up the 5 yard
and
freaking
that's
out,
the you
bro.
know what the wild thing is? It's not even like they're just beating them on double routes or like any crazy routes. They're literally just go routes, fade routes. They're just
Yeah.
literally running by him, and you're already playing 10 yards off the ball, and you're getting beat behind you. It's like, come on, bro. At some point, it's like, what are we doing here? Why are you still out there? But again, that just goes to show you they don't really got nobody that's really better behind them and the depth behind them. And you saw it today. Noah, I was getting torched by a number 4 receiver on a winning team, but he's like their second receiver on Dallas because they have nobody else. But so, I mean, yeah, some work to do coming up. I mean, we get Lattimore hopefully going forward, but I mean, still some work to do going forward into 2025 and beyond.
Yeah, which is funny. Do you remember Oh, Deluxe asked us on Wednesday. You weren't here for the episode, but he asked us like how long should he wait to talk to his brother because his brother is a Cowboys fan. I was like, you make sure he sits there and watches this game with you, so that way he actually can. And look at us now, like
Yeah,
idiots.
yeah.
And now the next question from Tim Towner: regardless of where we pick in the first round, I expect AP to pick the best player available. But if we were picking for need, prioritize the top 3 positions we need to address in free agency in 2025. 120 million plus can be spent pretty quickly.
Top 3 positions, free agency. I mean, you got to see who all the free agents are, but if you're going to combine free agency and the draft, I would say top 3 positions in my opinion are another cornerback because I would say that obviously, yes, we have Lattimore going forward for the next whatever games this year and then 2 more years, but you're still going to need another guy that's going to replace Benjamin St. Juste as that second corner, and you're going to need a guy that's your second corner behind Lattimore, but can also develop into that number one guy once Lattimore eventually steps away. So I'd say cornerback. I would say receiver just because, like we talked about, we need a guy that can take some pressure off of Terry. We need a guy that's going to be able to win some one-on-ones on the outside whenever Terry is getting taken out the game.
I would
And
add that I would rather use that in the draft. That way, that wide receiver
well, yeah, I'm saying
grow
I'm
with.
free agency and draft combined
Okay,
because
okay,
like
okay, okay.
yeah, because like I said, I don't have a list of all the free
My only
agents out
point
there
being
and
is that like
whatever.
I
But
want that wide receiver to grow with
yeah, yeah, of
Jaden
course, yeah, yeah, yeah.
while McLaurin walks away into the sunset
I
and
mean,
to
I
go
would
into the
assume
fight.
unless they're going to spend money on a guy like T. Higgins, they're
I
probably
got
going
you.
to look for a guy in the draft.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, cornerback, receiver, and then I would probably say I'd say right tackle. I would say is a definitely a need because Wiley is getting up there in age. He's banged up a lot, and I mean, obviously, you can scheme around him to a certain extent, but he's still getting beat sometimes on inside moves, outside moves, and whatever it may be. So, I would say that right tackle is definitely the third need that I would say.
Well, that's very good.
Excuse me.
For free agency, it is a little bit different because we don't know exactly who's going to be available, right? Like who's going to get tagged, who's going to resign. I think at free agency, the first order of business is retaining who you want because we have a bunch of 1 year deals on this roster, right? I mean, Jeremy Chin has obviously earned the right to come back to this football team. Frankie Louvu, without a doubt. And they're going to be
They
more
already
expensive.
gave Frankie Louvu a 3 year deal.
They did, my bad. So,
Wagner's the one that got the 1 year.
oh, okay, okay. But like those type of guys, it's like you don't want to lose out on that. So because Wagner's on that deal, I would say linebacker is probably another one where you can add some more depth to just to make sure. I think corner is a great one by you. Just you can never have too many guys that you could go to because well, we saw today that they at some point I think Benji and Michael Davis came in and he was there was one tackle attempt that he had right next to the
So,
Washington sideline and I was like that is the worst place to have that tackle, bro. They're all witnessing it, and like, you're just
no,
not
trust
doing.
me. That's what I'm saying. It's where it's like you see the guys that are on the field that are getting beat, and they're like, "Oh, what are you doing?" Da, da, da. But it's like it goes to show you that the guys underneath them are not much better. So you got to play the best guys that are at the position for you. So it is what it is at this point.
I think guard is another one that you can look at into adding just a little bit more depth because we're seeing right now where the injuries to the offensive line is really causing cataclysmic issues, right? And so you don't want to be forced into a situation where you're having to force these guys to play hurt and then it's everyone else is suffering where you'd want to add so a little bit more to it so these guys can be taking the help that they need to. That's if you're going to have a late buy or an early buy, that's the best way to combat injuries is just to be able to have more bullets in the chamber. Last thing you want to do is be walking out over a ledge like we currently are right now. We're walking the plank. We're at the edge of the plank, and that's where we need to kind of take a step back, come back onto the ship a little bit, get back on track here. I think so. What did I say? I said linebacker. I think edge is another one. I would not mind another edge.
Yeah.
Just given today, they only had one sack on Cooper Rush provided by Deron Payne, which is a whole nother issue in itself because they had 2 guards out today. And we talked about Cooper Beebe a lot. I really liked Cooper Beebe coming out of this draft. And I knew that he was going to start for them. But the fact is, they only let up one sack, not a lot of pressures. And this is a situation where you'd want your defensive tackles being able to inflict that pressure. But there was way too many times where Cooper Rush was able just to sit in there, diagnose, and get the ball out. We need to create some more. And if you're only going to rush 4, you better make sure you get home with 4. And so I think edge and pass rush is honestly the most important thing. Defensive tackle, I love Duran, but it does seem like it's just, sometimes it's just not there. Does that make like the
Yeah.
running game is another example where it's like if you're not going to be getting home a lot and creating a lot of pressure, what are you going to provide? And that's one area I would say Jonathan Allen is sorely missed because he was so good against the run, dude. He
Yeah.
was so good against. If he got one blocker on him, he was going to be able to get to that running back. It was much more so in the pass rush sort of sense that he kind of fell off and was a liability, losing his gap integrity and stuff. But man, there's a lot of areas that you could go down, but I think that we have the right people in place that we could feel confident about. You know what I mean? It just sucks, man. This sucks. I hate losing, especially the idiots. I don't want to call them idiots. I'm an idiot. It's just, ugh.
Yeah, it's just the way that they lost too. It's just like,
And like that one Schoonmaker touchdown. Like,
yeah,
what are we doing? What are
exactly.
we doing?
I thought the communication problems were over with weeks ago, and here we are. And in a critical moment, no communication, wrong communication, touchdown. Should have been a game over, but
How
I
come we
mean,
can't get plays like that? You know what I'm
that's what I'm
saying?
saying.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
why is it? It seems like everything is so hard for us on offense to move forward. I say that, and then that Terry McLaurin touchdown with 30 seconds left, right? But like just saying that, like during the game, it's like every single yard is hard fought. Whereas they on first down do a quick Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay, the staple, quick comeback at the 8-9 yards. Just get the chains moving a little bit more, and then let's get the drive going. We don't like have that. It's like it's
yeah.
pulling teeth just to be able to get the ball rolling.
Because that goes into my point is where they're like, all right, let's take Terry out, make the other guys beat us, let's press them, get them on the line, press them at the line, make them beat us, and that's why it's not hard because you see guys like Benjamin St. Juice, Mikey Samerstill, we're playing off coverage, so it's easy to get those little quick 5, 6, 7, 8 yard hitches, little comebacks. It's like, all right, bet we're gonna give you the little 5 to 6 yards, a kind of a bend don't break type of thing. Whereas defenses now are saying in the beginning of the season, I felt like it was like, all right, let's kind of see how we're going to play him. We got to account for Jaden in the run game, Brian Robinson in the run game. Now it's like, all right, we're stopping him in the run game. We're going to take Terry out, make these other guys beat us off the line, and it's just not happening.
Yeah, and honestly, what it goes down to is a running game for me in this game. Jaden
Yeah.
Daniels was 24 of 36, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception, but had 7 carries for 74 yards and 1 touchdown. He was our leading passer and leading receiver. And if the
Yes.
NFL was easier enough, he might have been our leading receiver if it wasn't for Terry McLaurin as well. But that being said, they were 31st in rushing yards on defense coming into this game. And Jaden Daniels being your leading rusher is the gigantic issue in all of this. And that's why I ultimately say it's snowball effect from the offensive line. And I'm not blaming the offensive line, but because I know what they're probably going through. And those are probably excuses. But the fact is, you got to be able to run the ball, man. You got to be able to run the ball. This offense depends on it. And if you can't run the ball effectively, this is what happens. So offense is stagnant. It's hard to get the ball rolling. And ultimately, you're fighting for your life. But that's going to wrap us up for this episode. This sucks. I'm not happy. Anthony just made me laugh. I'm not going to like this week. I don't like seeing those Cowboys fans that I know happy and tweeting for the first time this season.
John don't ever come to the warehouse. I guarantee I'll see him at least once or twice
I
this
know he's
week.
gonna come with a stupid smile on his face.
I know.
You see that game?
Mike, what happened? What happened, Mike?
What happened, Mike? Mike, oh, dude, go away. Get away from me. I'm waiting for a text from him. By the way, I'm waiting for it. All right, everybody, that's gonna wrap us up for this episode. I'm Kyle,
I'm Hall.
and we'll see you guys again on Wednesday. Hall might not be there. His baby could be coming at any point in time this week. So hopefully it's not a Thanksgiving baby. Hopefully you're able to enjoy some Thanksgiving
Yeah,
dinner.
man,
But
she's being She's being difficult and ignorant, man. She's just trying to hold on for as long as she can inside of there. She ain't trying to make her appearance.
I wonder where she gets that from. All
I
right,
know, right?
everybody. But hopefully you're able to join us on Wednesday. If not, it's for a great reason, of course. But all right, everybody. We'll see you again on Wednesday. Have a great week. 24-hour rule. Get out of your system. We got the Titans coming up. All right, everybody. Washington football. Woo!
Peace.
What's up, everyone? This is Kyle from the Burgundy Zone. We are releasing our own merch to support the show. If you want to rock the Burgundy Zone logo or you want to see Reed's face on your shirt, we got it. We're starting with t-shirts, hoodies, and zip-up. So if you're a fan of the show, make sure you snag one before they are gone. Check out the link in our bio on Instagram, or you can find the link in the description of the video. Thanks again for all your support. Until next time.